Plato and Aristotle stand as two of the most influential figures in Western philosophy. Plato, drawing from the Socratic tradition, focused particularly on the realm of ideas and epistemology, while Aristotle, his student, approached his teacher's abstract and idealist perspective with critical scrutiny. This critical stance gave rise to two fundamental approaches in philosophy: Plato's idealism and Aristotle's realism. Plato lived between 427 and 347 BCE, a period marked by political upheaval in Athens and social unrest following the Peloponnesian War. These circumstances heavily influenced his concepts of the ideal state and the philosopher king. Aristotle, on the other hand, lived between 384 and 322 BCE. He spent roughly 20 years at Plato's academy, but later founded his own school, the Lyceum, which emphasized observation and empirical methodology as an alternative to Plato's abstract ideas. To truly understand the differences between Plato and Aristotle, one must examine their philosophical methods and epistemological approaches. Plato's philosophy is grounded in metaphysical concepts and seeks universal truths through abstraction, whereas Aristotle emphasizes concrete reality and direct observation. This distinction shapes not only their epistemology and metaphysics, but also their perspectives on politics, ethics, and aesthetics. It is important to note that while their views may seem opposed, Plato and Aristotle's philosophies are complementary in some ways. Plato's idealism aims for universal truths through abstract ideas, while Aristotle's realism seeks to verify these truths through empirical observation. This fundamental difference produces contrasting conclusions across ethics, politics, and other fields. Plato's metaphysical framework centers on the theory of forms. He distinguishes between two levels of reality: the physical world perceived through the senses and the eternal, unchanging world of ideas. The physical world is temporary and imperfect, merely a reflection of the ideal realm. Plato's famous Allegory of the cave symbolizes this duality. Humans watch shadows on the wall, mistaking them for reality, while true knowledge lies in the understanding of the forms. Aristotle, however, departs sharply from Plato's idealism. For Aristotle, reality exists only in the observable world, and there is no separate world of ideas. Each entity consists of both form and matter. The form exists within the object itself rather than in a separate realm. This concept, known as hylomorphism, posits that form and matter are inseparable. Aristotle thus finds Plato's separate world of forms unnecessary, emphasizing instead that knowledge can be gained directly through observation. This distinction also affects their understanding of particular objects. For example, consider a tree. For Plato, treeness exists as an ideal form, and each tree is an imperfect manifestation of this ideal. Aristotle, in contrast, evaluates each tree based on its own form and matter without invoking a separate ideal. Plato's idealism elevates abstract speculation, while Aristotle's realism lays the groundwork for empirical science. This is why Aristotle's contributions to biology, logic, and natural science are grounded in observation, whereas Plato's focus remains philosophical and theoretical. Differences in epistemology stem from their contrasting metaphysical frameworks. For Plato, knowledge, episteme, is distinct from mere belief, doxa. Belief is unreliable and changeable, while knowledge involves understanding the forms. Plato argues that humans are born with knowledge and rediscover it through recollection and amnesis, reflecting the Socratic idea of the soul's immortality and pre-existing understanding. Aristotle rejects the notion of innate knowledge. Knowledge, according to him, is acquired through experience and reason. His system of logic, particularly categorical reasoning and deduction, organizes knowledge systematically. While humans may possess potential understanding, Aristotle insists that true knowledge requires observation and analysis. Consequently, he critiques Plato's reliance on ideal forms as unnecessary for obtaining real knowledge. These epistemological differences also influence ethics and politics. Plato emphasizes universal abstract principles, whereas Aristotle seeks practical, applicable solutions grounded in reality. Plato's theory-driven approach contrasts with Aristotle's empirical pragmatism, reflecting their foundational views on how humans understand and navigate the world. Plato's political philosophy, particularly in the Republic, outlines an ideal society divided into three classes: rulers, philosopher-kings, auxiliaries, guardians, and producers. Each class should embody specific virtues, and the state's ultimate goal is justice and the cultivation of the soul. The philosopher-king, having attained knowledge of the forms, is best suited to govern. Plato's approach is normative and idealistic, prioritizing universal truths over pragmatic political considerations. Aristotle, by contrast, offers a more practical and observational approach to politics. He classifies political systems, monarchy, aristocracy, and polity, and analyzes their strengths and weaknesses. Rather than prescribing an ideal state, Aristotle examines real societies and seeks the most feasible solutions for achieving common good and justice. Justice, in Aristotle's view, involves balance and equality within society rather than adherence to absolute ideals. Ethically, Plato links virtue to knowledge of the good, suggesting that understanding leads to right action. Aristotle, however, connects virtue to habit and practical wisdom, phronesis. Moral excellence is achieved by acting rightly in concrete situations. Plato's ethics are theoretical, Aristotle's are practical. This mirrors their broader philosophical divide between idealism and realism. Plato and Aristotle also diverge in their views on art and aesthetics. Plato sees art as imitation, mimesis, of the forms and often misleading, capable of stirring emotions and distracting individuals from reason and virtue. He is critical of poetry and drama because they can manipulate feelings and distort truth, serving little educational purpose. Aristotle, however, views art as an imitation of nature that can educate and refine emotions. In Poetics, he describes tragedy as a form of catharsis, purging audiences' emotions and fostering moral insight. Art, in Aristotle's view, provides both aesthetic pleasure and ethical value. Whereas Plato's approach is abstract and cautious, Aristotle's is empirical, constructive, emphasizing observation and the effects of art on human behavior. The divergence in aesthetic philosophy reflects their larger methodological differences. Plato's idealism questions the value of the tangible world, whereas Aristotle's realism affirms its importance and the role of human experience. This distinction influenced Western literary and artistic traditions for centuries. The philosophical differences between Plato and Aristotle permeate every domain: metaphysics, epistemology, politics, ethics, and aesthetics. Plato's idealist framework emphasizes abstract, universal truths, while Aristotle's realist approach prioritizes concrete observation and experience. Together, their thought provides complementary yet contrasting lenses through which we understand reality. Plato imagines an ideal society led by enlightened rulers. Aristotle studies existing societies to determine practical governance. Plato's ethics and aesthetics are normative and theoretical, while Aristotle's are empirical and pragmatic. These contrasting perspectives laid the foundation for Western philosophy, combining idealist vision with realist application. Plato's theory of forms illustrates the power of abstract thought, whereas Aristotle's observational method anticipates scientific inquiry. Though seemingly opposed, these philosophies collectively deepen human understanding and expand the scope of intellectual exploration. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our future videos.